Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump, and today I'll be doing my top 5 favorite video game series. Now, with the video games getting larger and larger in terms of series, and when it comes to the games coming out with like new ones or remastered versions of old games, I've been thinking, why not just talk about some of the games that I've played and just talk about my thoughts on some of them and just talk about what makes me like these games and just how fun it is to play through each of the games. So yeah. So for number 5 is the Pokemon series. Now with the Pokemon series, I think it's an interesting or fun way of doing an RPG, because with RPGs like let's say Final Fantasy, with Final Fantasy VII in particular, because that's the one I've played more recently. With that one, it's just hit the enemy, and then you might use some elemental attacks, and that's basically it. With Pokemon, it's the same thing, but you've got all of these different types. So you've got fire, water, grass, normal, ghost, psychic, fairy, all of these different types that has all that all of it have all of these different Pokemon associated with them. Because you've got the mascot Pikachu, you've got other Pokemon like Charizard, you've got Infernape, you've got a lot of these other Pokemon. You've also got like very cool looking legendaries like Mewtwo, Arceus, Palkia. Well, pretty much all of the Diamond and Pearl legendaries, apart from, well, mainly the box art ones. And yeah, I would say each Pokemon series all has their own strengths and weaknesses. For example, the first game, the first game, like, there wasn't really much of balancing because the Psychic type was the most strongest type in that generation. Then if you look at something like Scarlet and Violet, even though it has a nice like sort of touch to the open world, it does. I think the quality in terms of like the background characters and how they're like sort of like stiff animation and stuff, it does weaken the game. And as I said before, in the first generation, even though there was some unbalancing with the types, it was still the first generation or the first game in the series to sort of like make something new and different and stuff like that. So it's a nice. I think the Pokemon series it has its moments, and I think hopefully with the next generation it does get better. Hopefully, so yeah. For number 4, it's the Lego series. Now this series is probably the most stupidest series in the list that I have, and I mean stupid in the best way possible, because I think these are like, I think a lot of the stuff that happens in depending on which game you play all have fun moments, and a lot of those moments can be stupid, and they all are just fun because you've got, let's say, the Lego Star Wars games, the Complete Saga, the Skywalker Saga, and you can just play around in all these different areas and worlds, and you can see a bunch of side gags or main gags you might have seen throughout the games. And yeah, and also I also like some of the cheat codes and some of the cheats you can get in the games. For instance, you've got ones like the classic ones like the stealth multiplier, the one to find all the mini kits, that sort of thing. And then you've got ones like big head mode, helium mode, and even in Lego Star Wars the Skywalker Saga, you can have all the blasters just make all the pew pew noises, in which people, if they had like a finger gun, they just like do pew 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 pew, like something everybody does, and even makes all the I think lightsabers into baguettes, and that's really fun and really stupid. And also you've got the Lego Marvel games, and that's really fun. Probably better than the Avengers game that we got about 4 years ago. So yeah. For number 3 is Super Smash Bros. Now with this series, I think each game gets progressively better when it comes to like the amount of characters we get, the amount of stuff we can do, and yeah, I think with Smash Bros. Ultimate, the most current one, is probably the best one in the series because it's just got a new story mode, which is fine. I think it could have been a bit better. It's got a whole bunch of old stages and some new stages and some revamped ones, but it also has every single character from every single game. And when you think of fighting games, you think, oh, it's going to have maybe 4 or 5 characters for the new one, and then maybe some additional ones for the new game. But when it comes to Smash Bros, not only does it have the every single character from the previous games, but it also has some additional ones as well, and that's something really cool. And it's nice seeing all of these different characters from all of these different franchises in one fighting game, and that's something really, really cool and interesting. And if it wasn't for Smash Bros, I probably wouldn't have heard of some of the other series, like Persona, for instance. I wouldn't. If Joker wasn't in Smash Bros, I probably wouldn't have heard of the Persona series. So yeah, so I think Smash Bros is a nice way of letting people see new games in this fighting game, and they might want to try those other game series for themselves. So yeah, for number 2 is the Persona series. Now, as I said before in my Smash Bros part, if it wasn't for that game, and if it wasn't for Joker being in Smash Bros, I probably wouldn't have heard of the Persona series. And I think when it comes to the Persona series, I think it's a really cool way of experiencing the different areas of Japan, because in Persona 3, for example, you're on this like bustling makeshift island, and then you've got some areas like off of where that island is. And with Persona 4, you've got this sort of like small town, rural place, and then in Persona 5, it's more in like the center. It's like in Shibuya, the area of Japan, and I do like how all those games even though if you boil them down to their core, even though they're the same game, even though they're all the same game, they are all different in variety. So Persona 3 is all about climbing the tower and fighting all the different shadows. With Persona 4, it's all about a murder mystery whodunit, and Persona 5 is all about changing society. And that's so cool and interesting, and just a nice way of experiencing the Persona series and experiencing different games. And I do like I do like how some of the spin-offs sort of like make all the Persona characters come together. So you've got like the arena games, you've got the labyrinth games, and that's something really cool. And I do hope we get something similar in the near future. Maybe the cast of Persona 5 could meet the cast of Persona 6. Maybe whenever we do get a Persona 6 in the future. So yeah, and for number 1 is the Zelda series. Now the Zelda series is probably, I think, the first series or the first game series that made me love video games, and helped me being introduced into it, because I remember I had Phantom Hourglass on my DS, and even though I didn't really know what I was doing, I did enjoy going through all the different dungeons and stuff. And then I got other games like Spirit Tracks, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and then I just enjoyed every single of the games that I've played through, and I do enjoy all the different worlds and all the different kingdoms that you get to explore, like the Great Flood, the Great Flood area in the Wind Waker. You've got New Hyrule in Spirit Tracks. You've got Hyrule in 10,000 years into the future in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And you've also got the Sky Islands in Skyward Sword. And I think each world feels unique and different, and it's got all these different varieties of characters, enemies, villains, that sort of thing. And I do enjoy just going through each of the games and going through all of its various dungeons, fighting all the different bosses, and I do think that the Zelda series is only going to get better and better. And with Echoes of Wisdom being recently renounced, as of time of recording in the most recent direct, I think the Zelda series is going to be a lot more better, and I think it's going to take a lot more risks. So yeah, so that's been my top 5 favourite video game series. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.